Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 10, chapter entitled Deliverance of the Yamala Arjuna Trees, text number 10. Please repeat. Deva Sangitam Api Ante Krimi Vit Bhasma Sangitam Bhutadruk Tatkrite Swartam Kim Veda Nirayaha Yataha Deva Sangitamapyante Deva Sangitamapyante Krimivid Bhasma Sangitam Krimivid Bhasma Sangitam Bhutadruk Tatkrite Swartam Bhutadruk Tatkrite Swartam Kim Veda Nirayo Yataha Kim Veda Nirayo Yataha Deva Sangitam Apyante Krimivid Bhasma Sangitam Bhutadruk Tatkrite Swartam Kim Veda Nirayo Yataha Deva Sangitam Apyante Krimivid Bhasma Sangitam Bhutadruk Tatkrite Swartam Kim Veda Nirayo Yataha Bhutatatkrite Swartam Kim Veda Nirayo Yataha Deva Sangitam Apyante Krimivid Bhasma Sangitam Bhutadruk Tatkrite Swartam Kim Veda Nirayo Yataha. Matajis. Deva Sangitam Apyante Krimivid Bhasma Sangitam Tatkrite Swartam Kim Veda Nirayo Yataha Deva Sangitam. The body now known as a very exalted person, like president, minister, or even demigod. Api, even if the body is so exalted. Ante, after death. Krimi turns into worms. Vit, or into stool. Bhasma Sangitam, or into ashes. Bhutadrug, a person who does not accept the Shastric injunctions and is unnecessarily envious of other living entities. Tatkrite, by acting in that way. Sva artham, self-interest. Kim, who is there? Veda, who knows? Nirayaha, yataha, because from such sinful activities one must suffer hellish conditions. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON. Translation. While living, one may be proud of one's body, thinking oneself a very big man, minister, president, or even demigod. But whatever one may be, after death, this body will turn either into worms, into stool, or into ashes. If one kills poor animals to satisfy the temporary whims of this body, one does not know that he will suffer in his next birth. For such a sinful miscreant, for such a sinful miscreant must go to hell and suffer the results of his actions. Purport. In this verse, the three words krimi, vid, bhasma are significant. After death, the body may become krimi, which means worms. For if the body is deposed of without cremation, it may be eaten by worms, or else it may be eaten by animals like hogs and vultures, and be turned into stool. Those who are more civilized burn the dead body, and thus it becomes ashes, bhasma sangitam. Yet, although the body will be turned into worms, stool, or ashes, foolish persons, just to maintain it, commit many sinful activities. This is certainly regrettable. The human form of body is actually meant for jivasya tattva jignasa, enlightenment in knowledge of spiritual values. Therefore, one must seek shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. Tasmad Gurum Prapadyeta. One must approach a guru. Who is guru? Shabdhe Parecha Nishnatam. A guru is one who has full transcendental knowledge. Unless one approaches a spiritual master, one remains in ignorance. Acharyavan Purusho Vedaha. One has full knowledge about life when one is Acharyavan, controlled by the Acharya. But when one is conducted by Rajoguna and Tamoguna, one does not care about anything. Instead, one acts like an ordinary foolish animal, risking his life, Mrityu Samsara Vartmani, and therefore continuing to go to go to through after suffering after suffering. Nate vidusvartha gatim hi Vishnu. Such foolish persons does not know how to elevate himself in this body. Instead, he indulges in sinful activities and goes deeper and deeper into hellish life. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutare Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swami Namo Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutare Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvesesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Deva Sangitam Apyante Krimi Vidbhasma Sangitam Bhutadruk Tatkrite Swartam Kim Veda Nirayo Yataha. While living, one may be proud of one's body, thinking oneself a very big man, minister, president, or even demigod. But whatever one may be after death, this body will turn either into worms, into stool, or into ashes. If one kills poor animals to satisfy the temporary whims of this body, one does not know that he will suffer in his next birth. For such a sinful miscreant must go to hell and suffer the results of his actions. Hare Krishna. So here, continuing the pastime of deliverance of Nalakovara and Manigriva. So again, Narada is speaking this verse, and last two verse also we heard Narada started speaking, seeing the condition. Very fallen condition of the two demigods. So Narada, as we know, already Narada Muni, last two verses, he is kind of very uh, heavy, we may say, kind of very strong in his teachings. So, yesterday's verse we saw about how Narada Muni explaining that those who are born in aristocratic family or wealthy family, so they are so cruel to the living entities, and for their satisfaction, they kill many living entities, and like that. And today, um, we see Narada Muni is explaining about the value of this material body. I mean, value of this temporary material body. So that is also explained. Srila Prabhupada is elaborating in the purport. So again, it's very instructive verse. So because in Srimad Bhagavatam, in first canto, again Narada Muni he explains that when while meeting Vyasadev, instructing him to write Srimad Bhagavatam, in that connection, again Srila Prabhupada very nicely gives a profound statement that this instructions, how it goes, impious lives, I forgot, first canto, Narada's instruction to create to, I mean, he's saying that so these instructions are meant to create the um, revolution in impious lives of the material people. So again we can see here again the revolutionary instruction given here in this verse. So saying that one may be proud of one's body, like thinking oneself very big man, like he's minister or he's a leader or he's even demigod. But whatever he may be, whatever one may be, but after death, this body will either will turn into worms or into a stool or into ashes. So this is again very shocking for the people, because every day we don't think that we are going to die. We don't. None of us we think, oh, today I may die or tomorrow I may die. No, we think this body is going to be eternal. No, I'll live for long in this body and try to fulfill my desires. But when we hear death, about death, any moment it may come to us, any moment we may die, and after death, what happens to the body? And these are the things that happens. Either it turns into worms. Uh, when we bury the body, uh, worms eat that. So either it turns into worms, or it becomes ashes when we burn this body, and or else if it is eaten by the creatures like vulture and hogs, so then it will turn into a stool. So basically that's the value of this body. When the atma leaves this body, so we may try to preserve it, as many people they do nowadays, gives crores and crores of money to preserve a dead body. So we may try to do, but anyway, at last it will turn into either of these. But meantime, the second part of this verse, it's actually again very instructive. So we may think we are a big person, and anyway our body is going to be destroyed. But in meantime, in temporary life, we try to satisfy our senses. In many ways. Like yesterday, we saw how we try to satisfy our senses by killing animals and eating for our gratification. But here, same things again, it's emphasized. So if one kills poor animal to satisfy the temporary whims of this body, one does not know how he will suffer in the next birth. So this is actually a very important thing to understand, how we actually never understand this body is actually temporary. So if we see how temporary it is, and how actually, even though if it is temporary, as Prahlad Maharaj says, it is very meaningful, particularly this human body. So if we little bit consider, it's actually very valuable time that we actually spend in our human body. Because if you see the whole cosmic creation, So as we know, at least in the material world, so there is a Brahma Loka and Jana Tapa and Satya Mahar Loka, and below that there are heavenly planets, and below that there is a Bhuloka, and below Earth there are again 7 lower planetary systems. And if you see, as per the description, many living entities they are living in Swarga Loka or either in lower planetary systems. But if you see, only in Earth, where we are living, this Karma Bhumi, we can actually do any pious activity or even okay, sinful activity may be done, but this pious activity, the results of pious activities that can be achieved only in the Earth. Because in Swarga, actually, I was thinking, when we hear, people, when they have so much of piety, they go to Swarga, and when that merit is lost, again they come back to the material world. Sometimes we think that, okay, why don't do they do pious activities there in Swarga and elevate themselves? But Shastra says that actually they can't do any pious activity there. So they say that in Swargam, if you can do maybe devotional service, but you can't do any pious activity, because you went there for enjoying the results of whatever pious activity we did here. So there's not much of pious activity is done there, not much of yajna is being done, not much of charity is being given. So there is not much pious activities, not much activities to achieve the punya. So what happens? They come to this material world. So because our punya is lost, so again the demigods they come back to this material world to again regain their or to increase their piety. So in this material world also, who can actually acquire the pious merit or punya is that not all living entities. The trees cannot do that, or animals cannot do that, or any other living entity except human. So only human form of life, actually, it's a way where we can achieve the pious credits, or if we do the sinful actions, then we get the sinful reactions. So if we, for example, if animal if he kills the another animal, so he doesn't get any sinful reactions, but a human being, so he gets. But same human being, if he does any pious activity, so then he will actually get the pious results. So this human form is very rare. Whatever we want to do, whatever we want to actually achieve, pious merit, or if no one actually desires to have the sinful life, but still we are pushed to do because of our nature. So it's all happens in this human form, but human form rarely we get. It's only for limited time, maybe 100 years. If it is one, if it was in previous yugas, then that may be like 1,000 years or maybe 1 lakh years. But if we compare to the eternal time, so again it is very short. So this human form, let's say in Kali Yuga, only 100 years we get, and more maximum people live 80 years, 90 years, that's it. And even in that, if people if they don't do any pious activity or do devotional service, so what happens, they degrade themselves to the animal platform. So again in animal platform you cannot do any pious activity, or you cannot elevate yourself very quickly. So you have to come through all the creatures, 84 lakhs species. That's why in Shastra it is said, so asatim chaturam shaiva laksham stan jiva jatishu. So God, Brahmadbir Purushai Prapyam Manushyam Janma Prapya. So actually one attains the human form, so after many many births. But if one misuses it, again he falls into the lower species. That may be animal, tree, or any other insect or aquatic. So like that. So then um, Shastras, that's why it gives the importance of this human life. So it may be temporary. So Srila Prabhupada says that, so it may be, for, we may live in this body for some time, but Prahlad Maharaj says it is arthadam. It's very, very meaningful, because only in this life, So we can realize that this material body is actually temporary, and it gives so much suffering, because in Swarga we'll forget all the sufferings. There will be many enjoyment, all the time we'll be enjoying. So we'll think life is very happy, we are meant for enjoying. But in material world we have, particularly this earth, so it's like a prison. All the time the some sort of suffering is being there. So all the time we understand, okay, this life is suffering, we should try to come out of this. So this is actually very very limited time we get in this human form. That's why shastras emphasize that this human form is very rare, so utilize in proper way. So not for the temporary satisfaction of the body, because we cannot improve ourselves either in animal body or in even in demigod's body. So this human form again is, it's like a, junction for us. So that's why the emphasis is given, this human form is very rare, that should be used properly. Otherwise, but people, what they do, again next verse says that tadapi alhabatam jatah. So there's very rare human form, even if we get varakana mashritya govinda charanadvayam. People, because of their sense gratification, so they don't being intelligent sense gratification, they don't understand the value of this human body. They don't take shelter of the Lord's lotus feet. So this is something very important for us. So that's why throughout the shastras, throughout the Vedic literature, we see this sense gratification is again and again it's condemned. Okay, there is a way how to do that, and also in Dharma Shastras it is given, it is prescribed. So how a man can be happy in this world by following Dharma. Otherwise, throughout the Vedic system, the sense gratification, it's very much kind of regulated. So that we see everywhere. So this is again and again also explained in Bhagavatam. So says that tapo divyam putrakayena sattvam. This many way short time we are going to live in this human form. So that's why Rishabhdev says, don't hanker for the sense gratification, which is even available for the animals like hogs and dogs. So we have to perform some sort of austerity, so utilizing this human form to come out of this struggle for the material existence. So that's why all the shastras, all the Vedic literatures instruct us. Though of course this material world, it, all the time it is kind of inducing us to engage in sense gratification. For example, anything, whatever we think, whatever we want to do, it all, so many advertisements, so many things in our mind, our senses, actually it is pulling us to do many sense gratificatory things. But still, that's why Bhagavad Gita says we should try to tolerate this. That's why this kind of instructions is given. So then he is called Dhira, one who can control the urges of the senses. But it is not so easy. So but we have to try, because only in human form this chance is given. Animals cannot control the urges of the senses. Many times we hear the example of bull. When he sees the cow, he can't control. We may tie him, we may tie him with the rope, we may lock him in the room and like that. But when that urge comes, so it cannot control. But a human being, he can actually understand. A bull or animal, any other living entities, that actually they cannot control. But human form, it actually meant for the tapasya, to control the urges of the senses, to understand where we came from and how to go back to the spiritual world. So this is very important, and that's why here Srila Prabhupada says that, so this human form is very very rare, and it's meant for jivasi tattva jignasam, to enlighten ourselves from the by the spiritual values. For that we have to approach a spiritual master. So this is recommended in every scripture. So tasmat gurum prapadya, Prabhupada is also quoting. So Tasmad Gurum Prapadyate. One must approach a Guru. So without Guru, we cannot actually know even the value of this human life and how we are suffering. So actually, people, if they know how they are suffering and how they will be having the reactions of whatever sinful activities they are doing, so they will not perform the, of course, if some are there, those who are in Tamogun, even though they don't care. Some they say, you next life you will become a hog or animal, and he said they don't care for that. But those are civilized, they think, oh, if I will get so much of reaction by my activities, so I should be very careful what I do. So even these kind of knowledge about the values of the body and this world, that we get from the spiritual master. So every moment we are being kind of tortured, all the time disturbed by our material desires. Every day we sing Samsara Dava Naladi Danoka. But for the solution, we have to approach a spiritual master. And Srila Prabhupada in the next verse, he says that who is actually a guru? So we must approach a bona fide guru. Who is guru? So Shabde Parecha Nishnatam. So he should be well versed in the Shastra. And not only that, so Shastra says that so guru should be like in the Vayu Purana it is said that Achinoti Yashastrartham. So he says that he should be very well versed in Shastrartham. He should know the meanings of the Vedas. Then what happens? And then another qualification is that Achare Stapayantyapi. So he says that so an Acharya is one who fully understands the conclusions of the revealed scripture. So that is first line, Yashastrartham. So then whose behavior reflects his deep realization. So a guru realizes and how this world is actually full of suffering. So with that realization, he tries to help the people. Unless we actually know this fire will burn us, unless mother knows that, unless she has realized that the fire will actually burn the finger, unless she has realized, she cannot actually teach the children. She when the boy goes and touches the fire, so unless she knows, she will not shout, she will not try to protect him. So but here guru, so he knows the how much suffering so this world has. So it's not that guru has went through all the sufferings, but he has realized with the help of Paramatma, so he tries help people to come out of that suffering. Then and what happens and another description is that Swayam Acharate Yasmat. So he is living by example. Whatever he is studying, whatever he is doing, so he is living through that example. That's called Bhakta Bhagavat. In beginning of the first canto, Srila Prabhupada is explaining very nicely, very elaborately. So what is actually Grantha Bhagavat and Bhakta Bhagavat? So Grantha Bhagavat, we know whatever we are reading, and one who follows that, he becomes a Bhakta Bhagavat. So he is actually an Acharya. So this is the actually definition of Acharya. He knows the Vedas and he realizes it, and he himself he follows it. So and one who takes shelter of such a bona fide spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada says that such person is called Acharyavan. Acharyavan means, Srila Prabhupada here he gives the translation that he is controlled by an Acharya. And Acharyavan means we may understand in this way also that one who has an Acharya. Because when we hear the word Bhagavan, when we know that, so in Bhaga means opulence, Van means one who possesses it. So one who has it. So Acharya means one who has the Acharya with him or controlled by Acharya. So he can actually get the full knowledge. That's what Srila Prabhupada is saying. And what is that knowledge? Is that how to come out of this material world, and this actually knowledge of this temporary material body, how value it is. So this we learn from the spiritual master. Unless we know this from spiritual master, we cannot actually come out of the material world. And Srila Prabhupada finishes the purport with that shloka, Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnu. So today people are like that. for their self-interest, they don't know what is actually good for them. They think, oh, they'll be happy with so many things, but people, they don't know actually what is good for them. That's why Prahlad Maharaj says that nate viduhu. Vidu means they don't know. Na, they actually, they are not having the knowledge what is actually swartha gati for them, and that is actually Vishnu, the supreme Lord. When we take shelter of him, so soul, the living entity, becomes happy. But instead of that, what happens? Durashaya e bahirarthamanina, because of the you know desires, material desires. So they don't know the goal of life. They become blind. And what happens? And they follow the another blind man. Andayata ande upaniyamanas. They again follow another blind man. So to satisfy the senses. At last, what happens? Te tantram urdam nibaddha, and they fall into deep well of this material existence. And to come out of it, it's actually very difficult. Whether, sometimes the Shastra gives the explanation that, so the well without water, or sometimes even if it is with water, if we fall, so unless we know swimming, we cannot actually sustain, we cannot protect ourselves. So if we are fallen into well, so definitely we need someone to bring us out. So, and that is actually Guru, and the rope by which the Guru brings us out. So Shastra says that that is actually by the devotional service. So by the rope of devotional service, the spiritual master brings us out of this material world. So, and unless we take shelter of spiritual master and devotional service, so then we cannot actually come out of this material world. So that's why Narada is very kind of disturbed in the sense he is very anxious to see these demigods, here, wasting their human life in enjoying the senses, which is very valuable. Even see, they are demigods. Even though they are demigods, they didn't had that knowledge, how this body is temporary and how to utilize it. So this is that's the reason why Narada is being anxious here, because he knows the value of this material body. Whatever, we may try to enjoy, or we may be wealthy person, but at last this body is going to diminish. And what we have got in our hand, some sort of pious activity and some sort of if we sinful activities. So if we get more pious results, then we again have the pious credits in our life, we enjoy in our life. If we are more sinful, then we again degrade. So if we are again degraded, so there is no easy solution for that, to attain again come back to this human form. So that's why Narada is very anxious here. And not only Narada, we can see, all the acharyas, all the devotees, so they know the value of human life, so which is very very limited, very short. So if we miss it, again we have to wait for a long time. So that's why in many places Srila Prabhupada says that, utilize this human form, in a proper way. That's called, Srila Prabhupada says that, best use of bad bargain. Of course, this material body is temporary, it's full of suffering. Try to tolerate. That's what Krishna says. Then somehow, try to achieve our goal of attaining the Lord's lotus feet. So then we'll not have problem of birth, death, or disease, or old age, and material desires, or suffering, hankering. So we'll not have any of these problems when we understand or when we take shelter of the Lord. But for that, we have to give up the sense gratification, tolerate the urges of the senses, undergo the tapasya. People, those who know the value of this material body, so they don't engage in these kind of sense gratification acts. Even if we see many of the acharyas, they have, really, basically they have rejected the needs of the body. Of course, we cannot imitate them. We cannot, kind of do such things what Raghunath Das Goswami and other acharyas did. So they complete kind of whatever bare minimum was required for their body, that's what they did. Like 3 days once drinking little bit of buttermilk. That we cannot do that. But still, those who have understood the, this material body, it's actually temporary. So with that we have to attain the Lord, and they use this body only for attaining the Lord, not nothing for nothing else. So, and we can see Srila Prabhupada. So how much realization he would have had, about this temporary body. He didn't care to, the care much, I need these many hours of rest, maximum 2 hours of rest, many very minimum rest he took, very minimum food he took. So devotees, no, when they understand this body is actually temporary, they don't much bother about that body. And in the instance of Madhavendra Puri, we can also see that he was very sick, but every day he was waking up. Every day he was waking up, doing his puja, performing his devotional service. One day his disciple, I think Ishwara Puri, he asked him, so maybe you can take little, you feel, you look like very you are tired, so take some rest. And Madhavendra Puri said, anyway, this body is, it's like a tree, one day it's going to be fallen on the ground. So that day this body will get complete rest. Till the time, we have the chance of doing devotional service, better we do that. And this is how the mood, and these were the mood of our acharyas. And not only that, there are some people also, even nowadays we can see, even in recent times also, there are some people, those are born in like a Brahmin family, I would say. And those are living near the temple. So those those who follow that Vedic culture, so whatever, they do, but every day they go to the temple. Every day, they have this regular schedule that they have to go to the temple, they have to see the Lord, take darshan, do some service, hear Bhagavatam. They may be very tired of doing something. They would have slept last night very late, but still, there are some people, whatever the bodily discomfort is there, but still they tolerate everything, they do their prescribed duties. So, and even in our movement we can see, many exalted devotees, they would have slept late night or very tired they may be, but still every day they wake up for Mangalarati. Some devotees, even for very small reasons, we don't wake up for Mangalarati, and we don't, it's like, we don't do the proper sadhana. But those who think, this body, sometime we are going to live, so every day they attend Mangalarati, every day they hear Bhagavatam class, every day they do some service. So that mood we should actually develop, that this body, whatever time we can actually, in a good way we can utilize it, so we should do in a best way. So there may be many discomforts, but still we should try to tolerate it. We should learn that art of tolerating the sufferings in this body. That's why the Shastra has been given, the instructions in Bhagavad Gita, it's all been given. So, every day we should actually regulate our lives, use, whatever we have got, use it in Lord's service. So that will be the, best use of bad bargain, or I mean whatever best we can use from this material body. Otherwise, in again in animal form, we cannot, basically we cannot do much for our own benefit. Maximum we can fill our belly, maximum, that's what ahara nidra bhaya maitunam, that's the thing, that's the limit. But in human form, so many things are there, many facilities are there to come out of this material sufferings. And those who don't know all these values of the human body, again those, for such people, Shastras are condemning them, they are less intelligent, they're moodas, they're foolish, because we can have the best benefit if we leave it, and we'll be again fallen into the darkest. That's what Tepishu Tantram Urdam Nibaddham. Prahlad Maharaj says that, you know, material attachment led by another material attachment bound by the ropes of fruitive labor, which are made of very strong cords, and they continue again and again in materialistic life, suffering in the threefold miseries. So again and again we'll be suffering. Again, Srila Prabhupada also says that again deep we'll be fallen into deeper and deeper of hellish conditions life. So we have got all these opportunities. So we have, people who have shown themselves by their personal behavior how to maintain this body, and how to, use this body in a best way. So if we follow them, so then that will be success of our getting this human form and using in a best way. So I'll stop here. Any question, comments, anything to add? Yes, bro.
Progressing, is it not very harsh? It's little quite heavy. The statements are very heavy. He's saying that here, the body will become the stool and all those things. So he could be a little compassionate or empathetical dealing with the situation. What is your view on that?
Basically, I mean, in this context, if you see this Nalakora and Manigriva, the demigods, they are completely unconscious of their own status. Basically, they forgot everything about the world. So, to wake them up to, realize their situation, some sort of strong words actually it's required. And here Nalakor and Manigava, they are in that illusion, and same illusion also the people are having today. They think everything. Of course, here they are not covered, but in the covered manner, people are trying to enjoy, and all the time they're in illusion. So whatever we say, even you know actually, if we feel here it is strong statements and like that, but it's for some people. But nowadays, most of the people, they don't care even if you scold them. Okay, you scold whatever you tell, I don't bother. So that's how the people are, because of seeing so many unnecessary things, hearing so many unnecessary things. People have become dull. So it's like nowadays, even previously, if someone says you are a fool, so that'll be a very strong statement for them. But nowadays, if we hear some of the bad words, so it's really very horrible. But even then, people, they are not shaken by that. So if we see to this kind of people whom we are living, this is actually very less we may see. But yeah, those are in little sattva, they may feel little bit heavy of these kind of statements. But still, if they are little intelligent, okay, why it's been told, why it's been given? Because like they give that example of the boy going on the terrace and playing with the kite, and when he was about to fall, so someone is scolding from down. So then people won't blame him why you're scolding him in that way. So people will think you are really helping him. So that's the situation of spiritual master. It's actually very kind of thankless job, shaking people's illusion. So people may become upset, people may become tensed, but still undergoing all this kind of suffering. So they give the opportunity to come out of the dark well. So that's the thankless job of the spiritual master. So that's because they have realized that's what's that? Achare samsthapayanti api. So because they have realized this material world is suffering, unless we give the harsh the words, so they cannot come out of it. When one place Srila Prabhupada says people are very much in illusion, they are going towards the hell. So force is required to bring them out of the situation. So that is the thing here in that situation we can see. Unless Narada has given such instructions, they would have not bothered. These two demigods again, they will be continuing with the same life. But because of such instructions, and they got shelter at the lotus feet of Lord, and they attained the pure devotional service. That is also by the mercy of the spiritual master. And actually, we're in that context of bringing out of the materialistic will. So Rupa Goswami says that. So there is a very nice verse that just came into my mind. So is that Manasija Phanijushte Labdha Patosmi Dushte Timira Gahana Rupe Hanta Samsara Kupe Ajita Nikila Raksha Hetu Muddara Daksham Upanaya mama haste bhakti rajjum namaste. He's saying that bhakti rajju means, the rajju means actually the rope. So, so he's praying to the spiritual master and the Lord. Alas, I have fallen into deep and dark filthy well of samsara. Actually, though, we don't realize this place is filthy. Like, Indra, when he was, in the form of pig. So he was happy because he didn't realize that he is in that situation. But a little sattva guna required for that. So those who are in that sattva guna, they understand this is a filthy place, and in which the vapor of sex desire dwells. So again and again we are tormented by the desires. So all the time we want to have this. So then, O invincible Lord, the rope of devotional service is the cause of universal protection and is expert at delivering the fallen souls. So please place the rope in my hand. That's called Upanaya Mamahaste. Give me that rope in my hand, Mamahaste. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So, and the giver of the rope is actually the spiritual master. So, Lord is actually giving the chance through the spiritual master to come out of the material world. So, this is again very nice prayer. We are all the time, fallen into the material existence. We don't even know how much we are suffering. So Guru says that, oh, this you are suffering. Till that time we don't know that we are actually suffering. So by the mercy of the Lord and Guru, so the rope is given, the devotional service, to come out of this material world. So that's what again Srila Prabhupada here also concludes by Nate Vidu Swarthagatim Hi Vishnu. That's the same shloka.
I mean, I just a couple of days back I was just looking at few of the verses. Maybe that point was already discussed. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, he gives the example of how a mother, when the child is sleeping, the child is in deep sleep, and to wake him up, sometimes what she does is she comes and then pinches the child to give him nectar. She has got some nectarian food to give to the child, so she pinches. The pinch may be painful, but ultimately at the end of the day it's a great benefit for the child. So that example was given as a medicine. Yes. And one other thing that just struck me also, in the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam, we can also see Narada Muni consistently, for various different kinds of people in different situations, he goes and then preaches. With some people he's very strong, some people he gives in Prachina Barhi and like that, he gives with some allegory and all those things explaining and like that. And in the 5th canto, Rishabhadev is giving an instruction, and as a spiritual master or as a practicing preacher, if you don't tell really what is the need for the conditioned soul, actually you are actually pushing him to the will. The verse exactly says something like this. I don't remember the exact words. It's like if you are just encouraging him in fruitive activity or other things, it is like pushing a person into the well. That's what you're doing. So specifically as a spiritual practitioner, we should clearly tell that we are not this body, we are spirit soul, we have come to this material world, we are meant to serve Krishna. This material world is a temporary place. So we should not feel shy, or we should not think of some kind of covered preaching. It's not really beneficial for the person on the other side. So I was just thinking about this point. You can see his instructions are very strong, very clear, but it's extremely beneficial for even a person in Sattva Guna or whatever Guna he is. But this is always reminding us to be very careful that this material is a temporary place, we are on this body and like that.
Yeah, that is again just thought. Sometimes when we read books, we come across many very wonderful instructions, and we think, oh no, it's applicable for us. Then at some sort of realization we get, but within few days or something we forget, completely we forget whatever it happened to me. In 11th canto there are many wonderful verses explaining how this material condition is very dangerous, and here they are behind wine and woman and condemning these kind of actions. There are many shlokas, but when we come across, we realize, oh, it's very nice, we should know this, we should try to understand. But when the situation comes, nothing comes in mind unless we do proper sadhana, take shelter of the Lord and pray to the Lord that every day, whatever we read, that should be in our mind. Unless we do that, so when the situation comes, we are lost. So we have to be always careful. They say that, and even in that, sometimes we may, with that power and kind of association of devotees, because of our sadhana, we may come out of some clutches of some sort of Maya's acts. But still, again, we should be very careful till we reach the. I mean, even then, we have to be careful because they say that like Maya is always having the bag full of tricks. If not this way, she will try to attract us in some other way. So in any way we may be bound up in this material world. So we should be all the time remembering this kind of instructions. It's very good, nice to go through some of the sections of Bhagavatam, like Rishabhadev's teaching, Kunti's prayer, and like Aila Gita, and there are so many Prahlad Maharaj's instructions, so many wonderful prayers. It's they are praying to the Lord actually for the benefit of our condition. Prahlad Maharaj, whatever verse we see, like Yan Maitunadi Sukhamedi, Nan Grihamedi Sukhamhitu, these are all prayers offered to the Lord by Prahlad Maharaj, but it's very, very instructive verses for us. So that's it's very good that we all time to time we remember all this. It will be very helpful.
This one last point that I was thinking, that specifically in today's verse, the temporary nature of this body and how the body is turned into worms and stools. Similar, when Narada Muni was giving instructions to Mrigari, it's so amazing that he made him think that he was just requesting him, please, you kill the animal, but don't leave it half killed. He just made him think, and then he just brings in all philosophical points, how we are not this body, this animal is suffering in his body, and all these things. So we can see the instructions also here. So Narada Muni is really pinpointing how the temporary nature of the material body, one should have this compassion for the soul which is stuck in the body of an animal, and like that. It's very instructive.
Anything else, bro?